everybody. My name is Maralee Burnett. I am your astrologer, and I'm back again with the messages for the week of April 7th, which once again is going to be a very active and busy sky. So expect the same in your life. We have so much going on. Of course, if you follow me, you already know that. If not, please click on that subscribe button below and then make sure that you share this content with somebody else as well. And because you subscribe, you will get notifications every time I post new content, which of course I do every day with a daily tarot card and little mini astro lesson. And weekly, I post this astro lesson as well as a tarot card reading. And you also want to go out to my website, maraleeburnett.com. That way you can become a member and receive emails every time I send out my new content. So all the written articles, hypnosis sessions, of course, these videos, everything is posted out there on my website again at maraleeburnett.com. So please join me there. And you can, of course, see my reading specials that I have out there for you as well. All right. We have so much to cover, including, yay, the end of Mercury retrograde. Whew. And we're counting down the end to the Venus retrograde and a big full moon in the sign of Libra, which Venus rules, which says there is some big, huge finale coming from all the work that you started back on March 1st, which was when Venus first went retrograde. All right, so let's start breaking it all down. I use the Astro Gold software. I am using Tropical and Placidus house system, in case you want to know. All right. So here is our view of Monday. And as I said, if you've been following me, the weekend wrapped up in a very big dramatic way. It's no surprise that the protest marches were selected on April 5th because it was a big emotional day. The moon was in the sign of Cancer and connecting positively with Mars and all of the planets here in the sign of Pisces. And we're still seeing that energy. So as I mentioned, Mercury, no longer in retrograde, is one of those planets. So there can be some outcome already from the protest marches that happened over the weekend. And when Mercury slows down to station and go direct, its energy is more intense. So we saw that throughout the weekend. And then now the review period of what we're going to do as a result of the last 3 weeks is over, and it's time to start seeing some action. So speaking of action, we still have Mars down here in the sign of Cancer getting ready to run out of here as quickly as it possibly can, which is not soon enough because Mars doesn't love it in this emotional, dreamy sign of Cancer. But it is providing fuel to all of this emotional, sensitive, intuitive, and dreamy energy in the sign of Pisces. So this blue line is all these trines, which is a 120-degree angle between Mars and the North Node and Mercury and Saturn, and Venus, as I mentioned, is stationing and getting ready to go direct herself. So all of this energy is amped up even more. It's like it's on steroids. So each one of these planets got a steroid shot, and they have been living it up and being more powerful than normal, right? And Pisces is the last sign. It's the subconscious. Things maybe being brought to the surface, truths maybe being told, and this energy that kicked off the tariff conversations is still ongoing. And that was a combination of this Uranus in Taurus, Saturn in Pisces, and Mars. Now, they're working together to accomplish a goal. And, you know, the goal financially is very different. It's surprising and it's shocking. And so we still have that energy going on this week. But what's different is instead of Mercury being retrograde while all of this intensity is happening, it's now stationing to go direct. So there's more information. There's definitely more conversation from countries that are overseas, because that's Pisces energy too. Things that are very far away from us, things that are hidden and unseen. Mercury's communication and information. There also could be some agreements. So nobody, you would think, in their right mind really wants economic turmoil unless they do. And maybe some answers to why some people should be in economic turmoil and others not. There's more things going on that are hidden beneath the surface, and some of those things and reasons may start to be exposed. So, again, whatever's been going on for the last 3 weeks with Mercury, and for you in your own life and whatever house you have this in, it's now time to take whatever you've been learning or planning or plotting and start moving it ahead in some way. Now, it was over Thursday, Friday, through the weekend, that we also saw this Mercury energy talking to the North Node. So whatever the lesson is, this week will be full of information and details that are going to help us move forward. It's not about going back. So as we kick off this week, it's going to be intense. Conversations can be loud, and there may be lots of them, and all that's going to be the result of Mercury moving forward and being empowered by Mars. So it's still a lot of watery energy. In one of my posts last week in my dailies, if you're not following those, you should, I recommended all the firework that you can do to help compensate for how much watery, emotional energy we have in the air. So you can do a lot of things with water. If you want to come at it with this power of the sun in the sign of Aries, fire, you can tap in there. Maybe you're better doing earthwork. But again, it takes a lot of earth to make up for all of the flooding, right, that's going on. Heat will dry up water faster. So that's why I recommend doing things where you work with the color red, work with candles, work with fire safely. Always have to put that out there, to help this energy. And that's why Mars, a fire sign, doesn't love being in the water sign Cancer, right? Because it's dousing its flames. And so it has to work harder to compensate for all of the water. So you may have to work a bit harder this week as it kicks off to compensate for all this emotional energy. But the good news is, as these personal planets, Mercury and Venus, start moving forward, and eventually by May, Saturn gets out of Pisces as well, emotions will calm down a bit. They'll be fired up because we're going to move into Aries season, but all of this emotional turmoil, there's going to be a little bit of relief, but we still have, as I've mentioned, a lot of work ahead still. So that is where we are at as we kick off on Monday. And this conversation is a really important one because Venus and Saturn are going to sit conjunct here for quite some time. She's slowing down, getting ready to station to go direct all week long. And as Venus does that, the conversation with Saturn is a serious one, right? So this is why money, love, relationships, values, the things we value, that it's all being in some ways restricted. So we do better. So what's going on right now is not good. And Saturn is the ruler, right? That says, follow my rules, do what I say. This strong, older authority figure. And Venus in retrograde has been something that you've been reviewing, like I said, since the beginning of March. And so this is the last week of the review. This is a test, right? Saturn is going to test us. And we want to pass the test. So whatever advice you're being given by somebody who is trusted, a mentor, you want to really listen. It's not the time to overreact to what's going on in the markets. It is not the time to do things out of panic instead of, going to seek advice before you make any significant changes. Make sure you're getting advice from somebody who is trusted. Otherwise, you'll end up hurting yourself more by trying to take the easy way out now, but it will cost you more in the end. So I don't recommend it. All right. And I do recommend getting help from an astrologer, financial planner, whoever it is, before you make any risky choices when it comes to your finances. There are no get rich quick schemes that don't cost you something, and it's never worth the cost in the end. So again, before you do anything drastic, get advice and help. It will definitely benefit you, and especially while Venus is still retrograde. It's not time to take any action, big action, as far as your finances go. All right, let's move ahead to Tuesday. And of course, as we move ahead, your Mercury isn't going to move ahead very quickly. And as Mercury sits here, it puts out a lot of energy trying to gain the momentum to get moving. And so this is when we want to consider our words carefully before we just let them go, and travel carefully. But you should feel like you're not stuck anymore. That's the goal, right? Is Mercury is movement, whether it's the movement in our mind, the movement in our body. And so we can start moving ahead, but always do it a little carefully and cautiously as a planet just starts picking up speed again. All right. And of course, we want to always consider what is going on with Mars when it's speaking in harmony with Mercury, because this is, again, Mercury's on steroids when it's working with Mars in Cancer. And so we can have very impassioned speeches, but we can also move a little too quickly. So it's just a good time to be careful, especially since you have this Mercury energy also speaking with Uranus, which is, again, now this is all helpful. So the movement can be helpful. That's what those blue lines mean. But it also can make us think we are faster than we are, or stronger than we are, and act a little too erratic. So just, again, yes, you're going to feel motivated, but imagine it's winter, right? You've been hibernating for a long time. Your muscles aren't ready for you to just jump in full steam. You need to take your time. So just consider that on Tuesday. We're literally going to have this same energy and opportunity into Wednesday. We're not seeing anything moving crazily, but what you will see on Wednesday is that the North Node now and Mercury, as I was mentioning earlier, now the rest of the conversation can happen, right? So those faded things that occurred at the end of last week, now there's already some quick results from maybe you had to let something go. Well, because of course, when Venus and the North Node are talking, so is, sorry, I said Venus, but Mercury, and Venus is still there too, but as Mercury is talking to the South Node, that is letting go of a way of thinking, right? Letting go of facts and details. That's why this could stir some of those up in some ways. And there's a need for balance, right? It's things that we learned and knew in the past versus the things that we're learning in the present, right? So I needed to know about the past and what didn't work in order to move forward to something more beneficial in the future. Now, can I take the components of what did work? Maybe there was a small piece of something in the past that did work. Maybe that's where this big idea of yours came from. But you can't ignore and think you're better than the people in the past who blew everything up. You have to open your mind or be open-minded. And so there's something along those lines that can show up for us on Wednesday. And even though these are stepping away, Mercury, from Mars and Uranus, the connection is still strong all week long. In fact, it will remain on Thursday. The little added benefit about connecting to the past shows up here as we have the moon join with the south node. So there can be, this is a pretty big, look at the bold energy on this chart. Because of course, like I said, Mars is trying to get the heck out of Cancer. So it's moving forward at the same time as Mercury and the north node are. So maybe there's emotional breakthroughs of some kind, right? There is, again, this energy of facts, details from the past. Intuitively, right? The moon is trying to show you what you need to remember about the past. You need to connect the facts with reality, right? This dreamy energy of Pisces and the facts, they don't mix well. So yes, we can have a dream, but that dream has to be connected to reality. And that's the perfect blend of Pisces and Virgo energy, is to still see reality and not delude yourself any longer. So we have something big to learn on Thursday as all of this energy is aligning with the moon and the south node. South node has a little company and some support. It's trying to do all this work against all of this up here in Pisces. So there's could be in our own lives some support. When I did the tarot cards for the week too, I was seeing a lot of feminine energy. I think I got 3 out of the 4 queens. And so I was feeling that there is a lot of feminine energy that is there to help and support us this week. So maybe it's Thursday when that person or that feminine energy significantly steps up in some way. So I guess we will watch and see what that will be for us. Then we move into Friday, and we still have this Mercury with the North Node. So it's still about follow-up. It's still about faded information, faded conversations. Think about paper trails, right? So there's something that now we want to move forward with it. And remember, Mercury started its retrograde at that eclipse point. Now, the fated event, right? It's coming back to finish what needs to be finished before you can start this new thing for yourself. So could be a day where there's some, conclusive endings of some kind involving mercurial things, right? So we've seen the things that go on with social media, right? So is there a change in some way to social media? Maybe this is a buyer who's identified and agreed upon as far as the whole TikTok scenario goes. We'll see. We shall definitely see. I think that's it for Friday. I really want to dive deep into Saturday. So, of course, on Saturday, it's going to be the full moon in Libra. So let me adjust this. All right, so on Saturday, April 12th, it's going to be about 5:22 p.m. here in Arizona, where I reside. So, of course, you will adjust accordingly. Now, full moons are about completion, right? And if you think about the moon like a cup of water, because it's emotions, right? When it's full, well, the cup is full. Our cup is full. We can't put anything else in it. And it has us at our highest emotional charge. So we manifest from emotions. This is a time for seeing those manifestations come to completion in some way. It's also a time where, of course, everybody's emotions are on high, very, very high. And when we have that going on, of course, this is why we see erratic behavior, because not everybody wants their emotions turned up on high because they don't know how to deal with them. So it's always good to give grace, right, to those that are not able to handle the emotional energy. Let's talk about the breakdown. So, of course, the moon is in Libra. So Libra rules justice. It rules fairness. It rules balance. It rules relationships. It rules marriages, business contracts, commitments, right? And if you are a Libra, you know this to be true. You are one of the biggest people pleasers out there because you just want everybody to get along. You want everybody to like you. You want to make yourself known as that person you can call to help you at any moment in time. But I guarantee you that wreaks havoc on your actual relationships. So when we have a completion in the sign that rules relationships, we may see some relationships end, or some relationships take that next step, right? Coming to completion, coming to fullness doesn't always mean it's ending. Could be a marriage, right? It could be an important business partnership that's created, or one that's dissolved. But remember, whatever ends, something new comes in to replace it. So opposing it, of course, is always the sun. But what makes this really interesting is it's also Chiron. So Chiron, as a mythological character, was the trainer of the gods. He was an astrologer. He was a teacher, right? And he was immortal. It shows us, because of an accident that Chiron had, the wounds that we carry. So there is this opportunity that the sun is shining a light on either our wounds or a way to heal them, right? So this wounding that we have as individuals can be healed through relationships, business partnerships, agreements, justice, things that are fair and balanced can help us identify how to heal a big wound that has been caused. So this dynamic between Aries, the self, and Libra, the relationships of others, that's this push and pull where we have to figure out, I can't just do what I want to do and have a healthy relationship. And I also cannot give all my power away to my relationships and lose my self-identity in the process. So that's the push and pull. Of every full moon, there's a different push and pull going on. That's what makes it intense, right? We've got to find that sweet spot in the middle. So how do I balance my needs with my partner's needs? Because both matter. And whatever relationship you're in, business or personal, how will we balance and heal with the help of this full moon? Now, Venus is slowing down to station and go direct after the conclusion of this full moon. So her placement and her direction matters. This full moon is about, of course, things that happened in the past, things that you've been considering how to resolve or dissolve, a Pisces theme. Since, as I mentioned, this started last March. Now, it could have been even earlier because it was in February, I think even the 1st, that Venus first started going forward here at this 24 degrees of Pisces. So this has been a long time coming, whatever's been going on in your life. Of course, we know what's been going on in the world, but everything also affects us as individuals. So whatever you've been considering and contemplating healing from, it's time to complete it. There's no more I'm a victim. There's no more blaming everybody else. This is owning it. It's also, reconnecting you to your faith, Pisces, maybe your creative dreams. There's something that it's time, right, to start moving forward. So this full moon event is helping to conclude whatever and whoever has been holding you back from your dreams. And then it's time to start moving forward. I will warn you, as you move forward, there will be others who don't like to see this forward movement, and there will be some battles. But you have to believe in your dream. Believe in what's possible and keep moving forward anyway. Slowly, steadily, and keep dissolving all the things that will show up to try to block you. That's the work over these next 2 months. And it is going to pick up in intensity, not get easier, because what is important is worth fighting for. So you're committing to that right now at this full moon and not going to stand back and just take it. So all that energy that we talked about in the beginning of the week is still going on, right? So this full moon is still feeling all of this empowerment from Mars in Cancer. And at the time of this event, it's now exactly supporting the work of the North and South Node. So again, it's time to follow through on the guidance that you've been giving, right? Because the North Node and the South Node, right? They're the lessons of the future and the past, right? And Mars is now our motivation to do something to follow the light, right? North Node in Pisces is following our light, following our creativity, connecting to the creator, right? This creator within us. There is something opening up, a doorway that's opening up for the future. And to get there, and I've been saying this all year long, we've got to leave some things in the past. We've got to let go of the past. We've got to break up with our past unhealthy, toxic behaviors and let it go. So this is the beginning of the big change. But like I said, it's going to kind of kick off energy that will be a bit tumultuous. At the same time as Mars is speaking to the North Node exactly and the South Node, we also are going to start to see this connection between Uranus and our fate and destiny and karma, right? Let's always remember that the South Node and the North Node have a lot to do with the karma that we've created in this lifetime and past. So these themes are coming up so strong at the very beginning of all of this work, right? Because it's only been since January that we've even seen the North Node and South Node in Pisces and Virgo. Now, of course, the last time we saw them was 2006. And in 2006, the stock market also struggled. But guess what? We recovered. Yes, it was very difficult. Housing market slumped, all the things, right? These are cycles. Astrology is about cycles. Planets and energy, it's a cycle, and the cycles repeat. Now, they don't repeat so that we can just do the same old thing. They're repeating so we learn from the last cycle and do something different, right? All the rules, laws, regulations that were put in place should prevent the significant loss of value if we are upholding those laws, rules, regulations. Thank you, Saturn, right? Saturn's trying to give us the rules and the plans to follow. So it's, like I said, it's a very active, emotional full moon tied to the past and the lessons of the past, which are all the Venus themes: love, money, beauty, right? Things that we put value in, and the things that we spend money on, and our money itself, right? So many lessons that are unfolding for us. But it is time to start moving forward and not just keep living or staying stuck in the past. So, what might you be wanting to move forward with and conclude and wrapped up based on your sign? This is the part where I give you a quick little breakdown of sun, moon, and rising. So you want to watch for all three. Your rising sign is usually what you see show up in your day-to-day. But the sun can be, the ego self. Are you really living in your ego self, or are you doing what you're meant to do and rise in the world through your rising sign? And the moon, your emotional self. So it's good to look at the perspective that each one of those gives you on what the potential is for these things that can conclude, right? These relationships that you need to review and feel really empowered to do something about your dreams. So, with that, I will get us started with the sign of Aries. All right, Aries. So, you're the sign opposing Libra, right? So that means that this is all about relationships for you. So, what are your marriage goals? That's coming up for your review, right? Is it this long-term commitment that you want to be in, or is it a relationship that you're in that doesn't allow you to be yourself? This is something that you have to discover, and as a result of that, decide what you want to do with this relationship, this business partnership that is, weighing heavily on you. Are you ready to heal yourself in order for your relationship to prosper? That's the question that the Sun and Chiron are helping you ask yourself, and also helping you see where you're self-sabotaging your relationships and helping you stop doing that. Okay. Next we have Taurus. Taurus, this for you is your sixth house of the work that you do. So when we're looking at the sixth house for conclusions, there could be a relationship that you have with somebody that you work with that's coming to an end. There could be a partnership that is finally coming to fruition for you. Maybe you're finally finding the right person to help you on your health quest, because the sixth house can rule your health. So that's definitely a possibility for you as well. But whatever has been the block so far, it is something that is buried deep in your subconscious, because that is where the sun and Chiron are for you. They are sitting in your 12th house, Taurus. So this is the time for taking a look at the trauma that you carry and stop staying married to the traumatic events of your past and defining yourself by them, because they're just keeping you stuck. You are worthy, you deserve to be loved, and it's time to let go of any thinking, release any trauma that's been keeping you stuck so that you can have healthy relationships going forward. Let's go to Gemini. All right. It's still Mercury retrograde while I'm recording this, so Geminis, this for you is happening in your 5th house, the house of romance, the house that rules the heart, your passions, your hobbies, your children. And there's something coming to completion, coming to fullness then. So there is the opposite energy, which is the sun and Chiron in your 11th house, which is your friend groups. It can be mentors. It's networking. It can be the internet. So the struggle is real, right? It's like, I cannot seem to find romance on these apps, right? That's the struggle between the 5th and the 11th houses. I'm looking for love and definitely all the wrong places. So instead of doing it virtually, you need to commit this month, Geminis, to getting out and literally networking around the people doing the things that you love to do, because that's where you're going to find the person that has the same interests that you do and allow yourself to heal. So there could have been really bad experiences in the past, Sun, Chiron, network, internet, and it's time to stop repeating that cycle and choosing differently. And then you can find love. All right. Cancers, this for you is happening in your 4th house, which Cancer is all about the 4th house. You're all about home and family. So when a relationship could come to an end or come to completion or fullness, there's things that we're delving into as far as family relationships go, relationships with your mother. And if it's not those relationships, it could literally have to do with your home, trying to buy and sell it, which is feeling very intense right now. It also can be the fact that with the sun and Chiron shining a light in your 10th house, right, of the work you do, of your career, there is some maybe imposter syndrome that you are struggling with. And instead of trying to break through and achieve your biggest dreams, you may be hiding out at home, right? Maybe you've been working at home so long because it's so comfortable, but you're not advancing. So there's this challenge, right? How do I break free from this imposter syndrome and also get out of my comfort zone at home, which again, Cancers love. It's nice and cozy and safe here. So there's something challenging you on this axis that rules the home and family and rules the career. And so there's this opportunity, this maybe new relationship to be formed, or one that needs to end because it's the one that's keeping you stuck, so that your sense of security can return, right? We only have imposter syndrome when we don't feel safe and secure in who we are. So we hold ourselves back. So there's something about that that will come to an end for you. And of course, you're going to feel a lot this week, Cancers, because Mars, as I said, has been charging you up, charging up your emotions, charging up your intuition. So it's also saying it's time to take off the rose-colored glasses, face reality, and get back to who you are meant to be. 4th house is where we are building a foundation for ourselves that we can climb up from and achieve. So let yourself go out of the house. All right. Leos, you are looking at a full moon that's in your third house. So completions related to maybe studies. Third house is learning, teaching. It can be something that you're doing in your community that's coming to a close, a goal being achieved, that maybe you've been working on a project in your community. Relationship wise, it could have something to do with extended family members, that there's something, maybe a relationship with somebody like a cousin or an aunt or an uncle that has sucking the life out of you, and it's time to cut that off. And with the third house, you know the words to say to take your power back from this relationship and stop being their caretaker, right? When we're looking at the third house, the opposite is the ninth house. So it is the Sun and Chiron in your ninth house of higher education that is showing you where you doubt yourself, like you don't know as much as you actually do, and it holds you back. And maybe this family member feeds into that, has been holding you back as well. Well, it's time to stand up and speak your truth this week in some way, Leo, and be set free from anything that keeps you from believing you're as important as you are. Now, you literally are not living up to your highest potential, Leo. You're meant to be a rock star. Stop holding back. All right. Then we are moving on to Virgos. And again, Virgos, you're going through some things, right? That South Node, it's helping you, again, end cycles, release the past, stop being perfectionistic. I know it's hard. Let go of some of that OCDness. It's okay to have a little bit of a mess, right? It's all the things so that you can dream, right? Instead of paying attention to every little detail. When you look at yourself in the mirror, just see the beauty. That's what that Pisces energy is meant for. And this is happening in your second house. So this can be all about gaining self-worth, right? Believing in yourself and achieving a goal associated with the money that you make. So this energy of completion and this energy of letting go, working together so that you can achieve a dream, right? A dream job, for instance. Now, that could mean that you have to let a job go that isn't healthy, that's toxic to you, that's been holding you back in order for you to be who you are meant to be. And again, when we stop working in jobs that are not aligned with us energetically, then our financial picture will improve. So there's something ending with the help of this full moon that will allow you to transform, right? Because of course that Sun and Chiron energy is in your 8th house of rebirth, death, transformation. And it's about taking your power back. This giving your power away to other people, it does not serve you. And so now's the time to knock that off, let that go, and believe in yourself. All right, Libra. This, of course, Libra, is your first house. So this is your full moon, something for yourself that is coming to completion, right? Now, this, of course, means that Sun and Chiron energies in your 7th house of your serious relationships, your marriage partnerships. And so it could be the advice of a partner that sets you free in some way. It could be seeing your partner's wounds and realizing that you don't have to own them and you don't have to fix them, right? This is just, again, about taking off rose-colored glasses as far as your relationships go and realizing what the struggle is and is there a better way forward? How can you balance your needs with the needs of your partners? or your really close friends, right? This is the serious relationships that we have in our life, business or personal. So you feel this intensely, right? There's a lot on your mind as far as healing is concerned. And so it is by being honest with yourself about what you're doing to contribute to the pain that your partner feels, that you can have a happier ending as far as your relationships go. All right, Scorpios, you are up next. Now, this is a full moon in your 12th house. So that means, of course, this is ending a pattern of self-sabotage as far as your relationships go. I know, Scorpios, you just love everything to feel so intense. However, there is, of course, the energy that isn't positive for you that can lead to power struggles, that can lead to addictions, right? Even sex addictions is very much a scorpionic thing because sex is power, right? Money is power, all things associated with the 8th house. So what you're seeing at this full moon, what's being illuminated from the sun and Chiron in your 6th house, of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, of the things that you do associated with your health. Whatever toxic behavior you have, it is affecting you in ways that you may not even realize. And so with the help of this full moon, you can end this cycle, right? 6th house is physical health, 12th house is mental health. They are connected, and you can do a better job of balancing the two and having a healthier relationship with yourself, because it's the things that you tell yourself that you are making happen. So it's a good time to review what's up there in that subconscious mind of yours that you want to divorce and make it snappy. All right, then we have Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, this is a full moon that happens in your 11th house of friends and networking groups. And of course, we're talking about relationships. And there may be something that you've been doing as far as like a creative project with a big group that is going to come to an end now. That Sun and Chiron energy for you is shining a light on things that hurt your heart, right? And so there can be some conflict with a friend, right? That's done something that's hurt your feelings. And at the time of this full moon, you can do something to resolve the pain and end the friendship if it's not worth saving, or put in the work, right? And come together to resolve whatever this issue is. And then when you have this completion, right, in this 11th house of your friend groups, it could be even a mentor, right? You could be wanting to follow your dreams, but this person has put a damper on them in some way. So there's whatever this conflict is, you have to remember that even friendships can be toxic, and you can't play rescuer all the time. That sometimes things have to end, but when you end them, things that are better for you come in. The struggle is real, I know, but your heart in your 5th house, right? This pain that you're carrying, you can't keep carrying it. You can't keep letting it be your identity, right? So maybe it's a friend that can help you see how to heal this pain this week, and that would end up being a really good way to start loving yourself again. All right, Capricorn. Capricorn, 10th house. So, of course, you're all about achieving goals. And the 10th house is a goal that you're achieving associated with your career, your status, your reputation, what people know you for. And in the sign of Libra, well, this is a goal that could be a marriage, right? So, and is a marriage ending, or is this you making a commitment, right? It's any kind of commitment that is coming up at this time. But the challenges at home, that has been a struggle for you getting to this certain level. Maybe it's where you live and your family that is holding you back. Hard to believe, right? That something's holding you back from succeeding at work. But there's some struggle with what's gone on with family and your opportunity for success that is continuing to challenge you in some way. But it sounds like there's an important relationship situation. Maybe it's a new person that comes to guide you through your career choices. And maybe that choice says you have to move in order to get where you want to go. So, but it's a struggle, right? You don't want to let go. This leaving your family hurts. It's painful. Or it's realizing that this toxic family history, ancestry even, has been keeping you stuck and trapped at home and not allowing you to achieve your biggest dreams. So some dynamic in the family and work relationship has to heal in order for you to achieve your career goals. And you will. All right. Let us take a look at Aquarius. Aquarius, this is a full moon that happens in your 9th house of foreign people, foreign places. So let's say you have been in a relationship with somebody who is from a foreign country, or maybe you're just really attracted to and drawn to people who are from a foreign country. Well, then you may be achieving that dream, or it's your dream to study abroad. Then now's the time, right? And you will get the help you need from other people in order to achieve that. It also is a good time where you could have a new teacher, right? That helps you expand yourself and your goals and your knowledge in some way. But the fight is real because, of course, this Sun and Chiron Aries is in your 3rd house, which there's, something about staying safe in the small little community that is more comfortable, right? It's like, here's the Sun going, oh, but we've been so successful here in this just little town. What do you mean you want to go to a foreign country? That's not safe, right? So what's the struggle between playing small and going big for you? And is there a person? Is there an event that has happened in your life and in the past that keeps you feeling more comfortable staying, close and safe at home? These are big questions. It's the 9th house. This is big life lessons because the 9th house is ruled by Jupiter. But again, that says that there's the potential maybe for you to meet somebody who is a Sagittarius and a new relationship develops. This new mentor helps you go beyond what you thought you were capable of. All right. Believe it or not, my little Pisces, we're at the end. So Pisces, this is the 8th house. It literally can be an end, right? Because we're talking about death and rebirth right now. And of course, this work that never seems like it's going to stop. I promise you, it is going to become better as soon as all of this retrograde energy in your sign wraps up. So for you, this full moon right now at this time can literally feel like an awakening and like a rebirth because of the fact that all this energy that's been keeping you stuck and trapped is finally letting you loose a bit, letting you dream again, maybe not stirring up your dreams so that they're not quite so crazy anymore. And the 8th house also brings us gifts of money from other people. So when we're talking about relationships, for some, this means that your partner will be experiencing a financial gift of some kind. And that's very beneficial to you as well. Obviously, if your partner does well, then you do well financially. And it is the money struggle that is real, right? Because this this sun and Chiron energies, shining a light from the second house of the money you make. So it's time for you to face what you're doing to keep yourself playing small, right? To not believe in yourself so that you're ending up negatively impacting your finances in some way. And this can put a highlight on any financial struggles between you and your partner. And so this is the time to clear the air, to rebalance who does what, who pays for what, who's contributing, is it fair, is it not, and work that out. And then as a result, like I said, this big, huge transformation can occur at the time of this full moon. All right. So I want to wrap this up for everybody by highlighting one more energy that I think is really important at the time of the full moon. And it's what we call a yod. And you can't see it super well on this chart, but it's when we have two planets that are sextile to one another, and then both of those planets are in conjunct to this moon. So there is something that is very strange because one of the planets, of course, is Uranus. So Uranus in Taurus, money, beauty, love, is making a weird angle to this moon in Libra. That could suggest, right, that justice happens in a very unusual way. That's one part of this yod or mission from God or quest, whatever you feel a calling. So there, like I said, this full moon, there's something so intense about it that we have to show up and do this work, this rebalancing for ourselves, our emotions. We have to rebalance our emotions. If we want to feel safe and secure, we need balance. Well, the other part of this yod, which can look like a witch's hat, right? There's this point which the moon sits on top of the witch's hat. And then here's the base, the support, the brim of the hat. That one just speaks easy to me. It can be a triangle, however you want to see these little green lines in here. But the other part of this that is sextile to Uranus, of course, is all this Pisces energy that we've been talking about. Now, if you want to keep a really tight orb, we can even just talk about Venus and Saturn, right? So again, these two work together to help you accomplish your mission. And one of the people that's part of doing the work, again, is Venus, the ruler of this full moon. So I don't know what it is, right? Because I'm not psychic, but I do know it's so important that we show up and do the work that we're being guided to do at the time of this full moon. And that most importantly, we remain balanced ourselves and we do whatever we can to rebalance any relationships that we are currently a part of. The most important one, this one, right? If you allow yourself to feel out of control, then everything in your life will show up the same way. So some tips, right? How can I bring structure and order into my life to help me feel more balanced? Well, of course, you can do things like yoga and meditation, and you can clean up your space, right? Clean up your car. Anything that you see around you that is out of control, well, bring it back under control. Get up every day and make your bed. Put the laundry in the hamper. Fold the clothes as you take them out of the dryer instead of having piles of clean clothes. Okay, I've got a lot of Virgo energy, so but that order helps restore the balance, right? And then again, review each of your relationships. Where are you giving too much and where are you not giving enough? And what can you do to rebalance that? So consider all the conversations that I had for you and your sign and the house that's going to be impacted. And then take a look at where you have Uranus and where you have Venus and Saturn, because those two are working together to help you accomplish this goal you have as far as your relationships, as far as commitments, as far as restoring balance in your life goes, and having justice. It's intense. Okay, so let me move us ahead to finish up the week. And of course, you're going to see that nothing significantly will have changed as we get to Sunday the 13th, except that the moon, of course, will have moved on into the sign of Scorpio. As I mentioned, we're still seeing Mars speaking in harmony with all of the Pisces energy, and we are seeing Mercury, starting to pick up steam. But again, fate is empowered by Mars. Mercury is still empowered by Mars. Conversations are going to be powerful this week. And that's why it's so important that you take advantage of the energy when it is made available to you. I want a better relationship. All of this energy is showing up and going to help me do that, but you have to join it. A trine means here's an opportunity, but you have to do something with it. So what will you do? And as that sun has been speaking with Chiron this week, we too have to look at our wounds and what we can do to heal them. Is it just getting help? Maybe. Is it just finally realizing that your wounds don't have to define you for the rest of your life? The past is the past. Trauma is trauma. It doesn't have to own you for your whole life unless you keep giving your power away to it. And there's something about this energy on Sunday that might just say, after all these big dramatic endings, because of the moon in Scorpio squaring to Pluto in Aquarius, emotionally, what you can't stay attached to, what you can't hide from anymore. And it's time to make some big changes. So it's a big, intense week. Aren't they all right now? Certainly seems that way. So, of course, the biggest thing that we see on Sunday is Venus is done with this very long retrograde. But she has a lot of space to cover. And I think I was writing my June articles and I'm like, dang, Venus is still in Aries? It's a long time. And Venus only goes retrograde about every 18 months. But when she does, man, we got to show up and we have to do the work. And there's lots to do and lots to see. So now we've seen it all, right? And as Venus starts moving forward and in Pisces, just like what Mercury's been working to conclude for us, now Venus is coming along to conclude the same things. And as she does, she's getting instructions from Saturn. Saturn's giving a plan. Saturn is saying, follow my rules. And the thing is, when you follow Saturn's rules, you will be rewarded. Don't ignore Saturn. You will be punished. Hand of God. So this is a time where, again, especially financially, don't panic. Don't make quick decisions. Take your time, have a plan, and slow and steady is who's going to win the race on this one. But we're going to start to see shifts, right? When Mercury's moving forward and now Venus is moving forward, and we're starting to get some idea of Neptune in Aries, which is war. It is war historically. And it is two sides against one another. But this war that we're seeing is financial in nature, right? It's a tariff war. So we just have to figure out how to resolve the conflict. Well, this week, you're going to see Mercury come here and talk to Neptune. So there's more ideas, there's more information being shared. Maybe there's more weird, crazy tariffs being announced in retaliation, right, to the American tariffs. We're not out of the conflict yet, but we are starting to see some movement. So that is one piece of the puzzle next week, too, is starting to see what does that mean. So Venus is moving ahead. She'll be starting to come back and have her conversation to tell Saturn, here's what I've learned based on our review, and here's what I'll be doing going forward, and pass or fail, right? That's what's coming up for Venus. And so think about that in your own life, right? What have I been considering? What have I been learning? What have the lessons been? And what am I going to do as a result of those lessons going forward? And literally, Venus will sit here with Saturn until about the 23rd. So do the work. Study, study, study. Create a plan, especially for your finances. And then follow through on whatever lessons are being given to you flawlessly. The other thing we'll see later in the week, Mercury's going to pass that eclipse point as it gets back into the sign of Aries. And as it does, then we're going to see what was hidden at the time of the eclipse. And then, again, you can't wear rose-colored glasses anymore. It's time for you to stand up and do something with the information that's being given to you. Then we'll have a crazy T-square between Mars and Sun and Pluto that's very explosive. So it's another intense week that you'll want to come back and hear about next week. But tension, explosions, it creates change. And that will be the theme of next week, is some big, significant changes. All right, guys. Let me know how I can help. Let me know in the comments how this energy is showing up for you. What's the work that you're doing? What else can I do to help? Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing my work, and checking out my website, checking out the article for this full moon in Libra, which is in the links down below as well. And let me know how it all turns out. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Be sure and check out your weekly tarot card messages as well. Those, along with this astro lesson, are going to give you the big picture. Thanks again for tuning in. Talk to you next week.